This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Hello, it's Jennifer from heysealemon. Today I'm going to go over some of my favorite opaque pens. You guys know I'm a pen addict and I love doodling, and I especially love doodling with opaque pens, and these are some of my favorites that I love drawing with. And if you're not familiar, opaque basically means the opposite of transparent, so you can't see through the ink. It's got substance to it. It's usually a solid layer of ink. It's usually pronounced opaque, but some people say opaque, and I know some of you have a pet peeve about that, so you're gonna hear this word a lot in this video, and I will try my best to pronounce it correctly. And for your reference, I will include links to all of the pens that I show in this video, including my past videos, which I reference throughout this video. All of those links will be in the video description below. And if you are new here and you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I post a new video every week, and if you hit that bell, you will be the first to get notified for when I post new videos. Even if you are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell so you can get notified. The first group of pens all belong to the same Sakura family, and they include the classic white jelly roll. This classic white jelly roll pen is usually my favorite go-to for making highlights or making finishing touches on my art, just to make things pop. I like using the 08 size. I use this a lot on my doodles, on drawing lips. It's really great for drawing eyes, adding those finishing details of light and highlights. Or maybe you need to draw something greasy. I've used it on pepperonis to make it look like a greasy piece of pizza. It's usually my last step in making art as the finishing touch. And a little tip, if you're using any of the jelly roll pens, they're a ballpoint pen, and sometimes when the ink or gel dries, it gets kind of stuck in the ball and it can be a little harder to draw next time you use it. So I found it helps to just wipe off the tip before I use it, or just scribble a little just to get that dry ink off. Also, if you're using it on a drawing that is still wet from the ink you've used before, definitely let that dry before you use this on top of it, because sometimes it will kind of soak in the color beneath it if it's not dry yet. And then the Jelly Roll Moonlight pens are very similar to the classic white. It's just that they are a variety of colors and they are all opaque. I often use these in a combination of other pens in my art. They are also great on their own. I've used them on dark paper or color paper, and they really pop. They're very bright. I think they're fun to doodle quotes with, especially in a bullet journal. They are pretty similar or true to the color that is on their cap. And then the Sakura Souffle pens, which look very similar to the other Jelly Roll pens, but they are in fact very different. The souffles are in the pastel color range compared to the Moonlight pens, which are more in the neon colors. It comes out as kind of a cloudy ink, and then when it dries, it is more opaque and more true to the color that's on the cap. They're an interesting pen, but I do like them, and I find myself using them as backgrounds because they have like a nice solid color. And the same tip goes for all of the other Jelly Roll pens that look like this. The ballpoint kind of dries with a dry ink on it, and you just have to get that off before you use it on your next project. Otherwise, it's a little bit rough or crusty to draw with the next time you use it. But overall, I love these Jelly Roll opaque type pens, and I use them a lot in my doodles. They are kind of my go-to pens when I just want to doodle something. My next favorite opaque pens are these Uni Posca paint pens. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Posca. I just started using these and I need to experiment more with them, but I love them so far. I've tried a few paint pens in the past with the ball inside, and they just end up drying out, and they've just been very disappointing. And these are like the first paint pen that I've tried that is very impressive and not disappointing. And some of you in the comments have said that these are very common in your country, that you use them when you are in grade school or as a kid. And to be honest, I can't find them anywhere in my local stores. So I had to order these on Amazon, and I ordered the fine tip, and I got the pack of basic colors. And I've already gone through 2 black and white ones so far, so I don't know if maybe I'm just using them a lot or maybe they don't have as much ink as other pens, but either way, they got me because I ordered more black and white ones. The color that comes out pretty much matches the cap when it dries. The ink comes out really smooth and fluid. I used the black and white on my doodle book a lot when I was illustrating the cover. I pretty much illustrated the front and back cover completely with these black and white pens. The white is kind of great for using almost as a whiteout in your art. So if you make a mistake and you go over it just a couple of times with the white, it blends in with white paper and it's really easy to fix mistakes with. It's a great opaque pen, especially if you want to make fine details. I use it a lot to make things look glossy or put highlights. And something I recently discovered that they can be used for is fabric paint. This year we went to Disney World and I wanted to make my own DIY custom shirt, and they have the instructions on their website on how to bake the ink into the shirt. So it's washable. Here is the one that I made. I already washed it so you can see the ink did stay, which is pretty cool. So not only can these be used on paper, but you can use them on fabric or a lot of different surfaces. And I think you can go to their website to see what other kind of projects you can use these on. And one more tip I learned from the comment section of my previous video. When you're drawing with it, if the ink kind of splats out because it feels a little scratchy when you're drawing curves. Someone in the comments suggested that you draw as if you're gliding the pen over the paper and less pressing or less pressure on the paper. So that can help if you experience any scratchiness when you're drawing with these. Thank you for that tip, by the way. So far, these are pretty much my favorite opaque pen in the paint pen category, and I really look forward to using these in more projects. Next up, these are pens that I don't use as frequently, but I still think they are worth mentioning. The Sakura Perma markers. I have the dual tip markers, and one end is kind of a fat chisel, and then the other end is a bullet point. There's no ball in them, so you don't need to break up the paint inside. They are pigment based, so the ink isn't going to pour out like a paint pen. And I have noticed that the ink kind of soaks into the paper, and I think that's because it's more pigment based, whereas some of the gel pens or paint pens kind of sit on top of the paper. And these come in a variety of different colors, plus they have some metallics. The color that comes out is similar to the cap color if you are drawing on white paper, but if you're drawing on color paper, it's a little bit of a watered down version of the color on the cap. It's sort of a semi-opaque pen because the first layer I noticed that comes out of these pens is somewhat transparent, but you have to wait till it dries in order to build it up and make it even more opaque. And make sure that you let the first layer dry completely. It does take a little bit longer to dry than my other pens, I've noticed, but once that dries, you can build it up and make it even more opaque. So maybe you're looking for a marker that's going to give you a subtle opaqueness. Like for example, maybe you're making a plaid pattern, which you want to be transparent. And if it's on dark paper, you still want it to show up, but you still want it to be somewhat transparent. I've used them in my bullet journal pages, in some of my quote doodles. Even though these aren't as opaque as other pens, I like the dual tip and I like the variety of colors, and I like that it's kind of a semi-transparent opaqueness because it's just a good option to have when you're looking for a certain opaqueness for your artwork. And now I'd like to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with thousands of classes to choose from. Their premium membership gives you unlimited access to high-quality classes from experts working in their fields. Skillshare is also more affordable than most learning platforms out there. They have an annual subscription, which is less than $10 a month. I actually have their premium annual membership, and I've been using Skillshare since 2013, which is crazy, but it just goes to show how valuable of a resource they are, especially to creators. I learned how to edit my first video in Adobe Premiere Pro from a Skillshare class. I even learned how to use my Wacom tablet from Skillshare, and sometimes when I'm out and about or at lunch, I will use their app to watch a quick class. And if you're a pen addict like me, you will find a ton of creative classes that go over calligraphy, brush pen styles, and they are all in-depth and very easy to learn from. And Skillshare gave me a special deal to share with you guys. The first 500 people that sign up through this link right here will get 2 months of Skillshare Premium for free. After the 2 months is up, if you still decide to use Skillshare, then your membership is as low as $10 a month. I will also put this link in the description below, and if there are any classes that you really like on Skillshare, I would love to know what your favorite classes are in the comments. And if you have any Opaque pen favorites, I would love to read about your experience in the comments as well. And hit that like button if you want to see more art supply review type videos. If you want to become a patron of heysealemon, go check out my Patreon page. I will put that link right here. I have a reward tier that is for weekly doodle prompts, so if you are a doodler that likes to doodle on a weekly basis, go check that out and it will support the heysealemon channel. And don't forget to subscribe to show more support. That's free. You can check that out right here. The link will be right here. And if you want to check out a playlist full of art supply type videos, check this out right here. These links and more information will be in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!